Hello everyone, this is Zach and welcome to my channel Discovering Solo. Here I talk about solo gaming and, well, my experiences with it. Today I will be talking about the Fate Core system and how my experience playing it solo. Right off the bat I will say this is not a review. If you're looking for a review or how to play video, there's lots of other great videos here on YouTube, where you can hear people tell you about the game and how it kind of stands up from a neutral standpoint. This video is neither of those things. This is simply my experience using Fate as a system for a solo game. I will be talking about my opinions regarding Fate, my experience running the system, and just kind of giving you guys an idea of what you're in for. If you guys plan on using Fate as a base system for a solo game in the future. I am very new to Fate. I've only played a total of 10 sessions of it solo before making this video. I will tell you my impressions while I played it, but I just want you guys to know my perspective on where I'm coming from when I got into the system. So what is Fate Core? Fate Core is a setting neutral, genre neutral system that allows you to play games cinematically. It very much goes for a story-first approach to tabletop RPGs. The only dice used in the game are a pool of 4d6 that you use to determine the outcome of actions, contested or otherwise. After playing the game and thinking about my experience with it for a while, came up with a few cons on my end, very much on the opinion side of things regarding the system. So for one thing, I did not really care for the 4d6 style resolution mechanics. It wasn't success based. It was very much rolling to determine the value of each individual dice, which you then apply to your rating in a skill to determine an outcome of a contested or a difficulty-based action. The pool can come up with a very wide range of results, which at times feels like it's negating the value that you have set for the skill that it's being applied to, which I did not really care for. Next, I did not really care for Fate Core's progression system. It never really felt like I was getting, well, anything significant added to my character. Any progression you made was solely story based. Fate Core is highly customizable. In the system you can create pretty much anything: superheroes, horror based, fantasy, whatever. You can fit the game to any genre and any setting. I kind of struggle to think of anything that the system might be unqualified for. The next pro I have for the Fate Core system, and something that I found to be incredibly useful while running it solo, is that the system is very modular. It works well with any subsystems that you might want to introduce to help you run the style of play or genre that you are going for. As an example, in the game I ran, I was very much running an exploration-based game. Where I was going from area to area. So what I did was I created a bunch of tables and progression trackers that I used to keep track of where I was in an area and what I was encountering. I was easily able to introduce these things to the system, and I found that it worked very well with progression tracks being introduced. The system also has extras where you can just add any special rules, exceptions, or mechanics that you want to add to the core system of the game. While I did not use a lot of extras personally, one thing I did do was I created an extra to introduce the crew of the ship that my character was traveling on, to kind of add a few additional actions that the crew could perform while I was in encounters. Also used extras to keep track of how many members of the crew were still alive and what lieutenants I had on the ship that allowed me to do certain special actions while traveling. When I play RPGs, I usually find that it's been incredibly helpful to be able to easily create NPCs and set up encounters while in the middle of play, especially if I'm playing solo, because when I'm playing solo, I want to do as little work on the GM side of things as possible. Because, well, I mean, that's part of the nice things about playing a character in a game. All the NPCs, and as I kind of encountered encounters, using the fate system, they were very easy to create. All I had to do was just add a few aspects, set up a few zones, maybe create a stress box tracker for certain antagonists, and boom, I was good. The combat was ready. Each time I had to set these things up, usually take between 1 and 4 minutes before I could actually start the encounter, which I think is very, very fast, especially if you're comparing it to games like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, where you do a lot of prep work between each encounter, that and taking into account so many different things, so many variables that can arise. I was even easily able to ramp up the difficulty when I found that a lot of the encounters I were having were just too easy. I was able to ramp up the difficulty by adding things like vampiric qualities to enemies, where they would recover stress boxes as they attacked, or maybe giving them an extra action in combat. That way they can just do more each turn and become more of a threat. In addition to the easy creation of NPCs and encounters, combat in Fate is very fast, not sitting around for a minute adding modifiers and figuring out what I want my character to do. Everything's very simple, straightforward, and it just kind of speeds up the flow of the game, which is nice since I don't like it when combat usually takes forever in RPGs. It's one of the things I sometimes get annoyed with when I'm playing sessions with groups, because some people can just take forever. They're not sped along by the GM. So there's another one of my pros for the Fate system. So the final pro of Fate that I can think of as of this moment is that Fate Core as a system is incredibly easy to pick up and play. I mean, it's not like Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons, where there's just so many things you need to keep track of, and so many things you need to include with character creation and just be mindful of during gameplay. Fate only has a core mechanic, the very simple character sheet, and that's about it. If you're looking for a new system to learn that's simple enough to pick up and play soon after you start looking into it, then Fate would definitely be one that I'd recommend. So before I wrap up this video with my final thoughts, I wanted to let you guys know what I used to create and run my game of Fate Core. Firstly, I had the 46 that Fate needs for its resolution mechanics and rolls. Next, I was using the Mythic Game Master emulator, 2nd edition. If you guys want to run any system and need an emulator, I definitely recommend Mythic. Although I will say that Mythic is a very big system, so if you are going to start to use it, decide on what you want to use and stick to those tables and subsystems. Don't include anything else, because there's just a lot. It can be overwhelming if you're trying to learn how to use Mythic at the same time as trying to learn the new mechanics for a new system that you're getting into. So one of the core things about Mythic in particular is it makes use of 2 different lists, a characters list and a thread list. And generally speaking, it's a pretty good idea to somewhat populate these lists with some pre-existing things before beginning your game. So what I did was I used the Advanced D&D Adventure Over the Waves We Will Go as a bit of a template to give me an idea of how I'd see my adventure and what direction I would take my adventure in. It worked pretty well. I mean, I basically just kind of read the adventure, then changed things to match the game that I wanted to play. Well, aside from using the Advanced D&D Adventure, I also used the 5th edition Player's Core Book as a bit of a reference to help me get an idea of what sort of characters I wanted to make for this game. So aside from the source books, the dice, and everything else, I also used a couple of auxiliary tools. Namely, I was keeping a journal for the adventure to keep track of what my character was doing and where my characters were. I also was I also had a little whiteboard that I was using to display combat encounters, just so I can have an idea of what zones are on the map and what aspects might be in play. So here are my final thoughts on Fate Core as a solo system, just kind of my experience with it. From my experience, I can say for sure this is a good system. It's not deeply flawed, there's nothing wrong about it. But I don't think this system is really for me, and well, a lot of the games I'm looking to run. I might end up using it in the future if I can't really think of any other system that I might be able to run the game I want to run in. But aside from that, well, yeah, for you solo players out there, this game is very good for running solo games. It's very simple, there's not too much to keep track of, and it's easy to create encounters that fit in with an adventure. And yeah, basically that's it. If you agree with me, please let me know. Likewise, if you disagree, feel free to tell me off. I will take it well. Alright, see y'all next time.